Welcome to another Q&NE layout expansion update. We're going to go over how I added some detail to the mainline turnouts, and we're going to talk about another addition to the Q&NE Caboose fleet. If you've been following along the Q&NE journey all these years, you've probably noticed that all of my mainline turnouts, although they're controlled with tortoise switch machines, the headlock ties don't have any actual switch machines representing the real world switch machines, so I thought I'd address that in this video. Here are some common examples of switch machines that you might find along the right-of-way. There are different prototype manufacturers. I'm going to focus on the Union Switch and Signal version only because that's what I was able to find in miniature form in HO scale. Many years ago, Details West came out with this metal casting of the USNS switch machine. It's an old kit, but I happened to come across a dozen of them, which is how many I need, for a very, very low price, probably because there are newer 3D printed ones that are in better detail, but I thought these will do just right for me. Here's the exploded parts diagram, which serves as the assembly instructions. And here you can see those parts laid out on the table. The parts include the main switch machine motor assembly, two head block tie extensions, actually it's one piece, and two separate control rods that fit inside some pre-drilled holes. Now, when I say pre-drilled, I mean when the parts were cast, they were cast with dimples or what appear to be holes for the parts to slot into. I found these holes a little bit tight for these soft metal parts to go into reliably, and I didn't want to damage them by forcing them in because this metal is very soft, bends easily. So I reamed out these holes with some very small drill bits. Both of the control rods come with a relatively large lump of flashing that has to be cut off. I used a tiny drop of ACC on each of the holes, and the nipple that goes in fits snugly. Like many cast metal parts, they can be fragile, and you'll see here the first one I attempted, I broke the head off. But my success rate was very good. That was only one of 12 that broke. Here's the first 6, and once I had all 12 of them together, it was time for painting. I used Flocal Old Silver to give them a bit of that weathered look. The underside of the motors included two pins that were supposed to slot into holes in the headblock extensions. But since I was not using the headblock extensions that came with the kit, but rather using my own ties that were either already in the ballast or that I added, I had to file those pins off. It's hard to tell from these photos, but when I did my original ballasting, I did extend the ballast around the headblock ties, at least those ties that I had added when I was ballasting, but I didn't extend the ballast beyond much either side, which these switch motors need because there's a piece, the head of the motor extends a fair bit. So I had to actually extend or add some ballast around each of the head blocks. Your standard or typical ballasting rules apply. Here you can see where 2 of the 12 turnouts I didn't have the extended head blocks, so I had to add them here. So that was just a short bit of work to cut up some old ties and put them in place and give them a bit of color with the Flocal enamel paint pens using rail tie brown. And here's a quick walkthrough of the 2 interlockings that contain all 12 of the turnouts and switch machines. This was a fun little project, although short in duration. I think it really goes a long way to adding some important detail to the right-of-way that frankly it's been missing for almost 20 years on the layout. With the expansion of the Quebec and New England layout, now including a dedicated transfer run to the paper mill in the other room, um, found myself short of cabooses. We also added more mainline Quebec and New England trains in the staging, in the new staging yard representing Montreal. So yeah, cabooses were at a premium. So I thought, well, why not add a transfer caboose for the mill job? When Blueford Shops came out with these transfer vans some years ago, I looked at them and thought, yeah, that would be kind of cool, but they seemed a little bit modern, and I didn't see an opportunity to get an undecorated one at the time. So it fell, into the someday kind of category. But quite recently, I came across um, a decorated version with almost exactly the right color scheme for the Quebec and New England. And I thought, well, maybe it's just a simple matter of removing the decals and putting on my own decals. As you'll soon see, that was a real boatload of wishful thinking. I started by trying to disassemble parts of the caboose wherever I could, because that would make it easier to rub off the old lettering. That proved to be a bit of a challenge because all these parts are glued in, not just press fit in. I did manage to remove the bay windows, but I lost some of the pins in the process. The fact that I couldn't disassemble it any further made for some really creative masking when it came time to do some painting. I tried the usual methods for removing the lettering without much success, to be honest. I did try the rubber eraser. I did try soaking with microsol and then rubbing it some more. Uh, but this printing is pretty tough. In the end, what I found worked best was these old erasers that were used to erase ink from paper back in the day when we used ballpoint pens. It's a bit of a coarser eraser than the pink eraser. It does the trick, but it does mar the finish a little bit. Early on in this process, I managed to break the aluminum tracks that are used for the sliding window cages. And I thought, this is a transfer caboose for local operations, and I never really liked those sliding cages. So I popped that detail off completely, filled in the holes with some putty, and of course, realizing then that I probably have to repaint this. So that led me down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out if I could remove the window inserts. The main window was easy enough to pop off, although it was glued in, but it was almost impossible to get the side windows out. I also managed to break off the antenna with all this handling. That was easy enough to fix, a bit of glue and pop it back in the hole. But I actually had to remount the hole a little bit. It didn't want to go back into its own hole. So here you see the results of me trying to fill in the holes where the pins go for the aluminum tracks. That was easy enough to do and sand smoothly. But of course, clearly I had to repaint these now. And the next question was, how do I preserve the beautiful aluminum frame? Well, some time ago, I had bought some micro mask from Microscale, but never actually attempted to use it. So first time for everything, I tried to use it here. To make sure that the color would match after repainting the bay windows, I figured I have to paint the main body as well, even though the lettering came off not too bad. There was a marring to the finish, so why not, I thought. But again, another rabbit hole. How do you preserve all the beautiful yellow handrails at either end? Well, that's a matter of some good masking of the model, making sure that the edging is well covered, so there's no bleed of the red underneath the edge of the tape. I also wasn't crazy about the silver roof. And so in keeping with the standard painting guidelines for Quebec and New England cabooses, I wanted to paint it black. But that meant peeling back some of the tape that was on there for the painting of the red layer, um, and then covering over the red that was just painted on the sides. And here you see how I managed to expose just the roof by making sure there's real good bonding of the masking tape all along the edge of the roof line, and make like you had to burnish it with your fingernail to make sure it's a good seal. And then once I was confident the masking was good enough, and then after also giving an additional safety layer of paper towels around the edges, I gave it that coat of flat black, and luckily that came out very well. So here you see the painted bay windows, and it looks like it's red everywhere, but that's because the red is covering up where I used the micro mask. And here you see I removed it by using a very, very tiny sharp blade. This exposes the aluminum color that I was trying to preserve below. It's not perfect, but then, again, first time using micro mask. The next step was decals. Now here it was interesting because I had to figure out where would be the best place to position the logo. And fortunately I had very small logos that I used for the nose of my locomotives, and it just fit on the bay window. I chose to use road number 998, which puts it as one of the last cabooses purchased, and just before number 999, which is my track cleaning car, which also happens to be a kit bashed bay window caboose. I'm not sure you can see this very well, but I also put the yellow decal stripe along the frame of the caboose. Again, consistent with all the cabooses and locomotives in the Q&NE fleet. But what I forgot to do or didn't think would be an issue was the fact that there was a white um, stripe on the bottom of the Blue for Chops caboose. You would think that the yellow stripe would cover white quite easily, but it's not because of the white stripe that it's showing through. It's because there are spaces or breaks in the white where the black is shining through, even though these decals were made with a white base layer to make sure they covered well. This was a result of the way I masked the ends of the caboose when I was spraying the sides red. I wanted to make sure all the railings in yellow were not affected by the red, and it would have been hard to mask the floor separately from the rest of the unit because there are gaps between the railings and the top of the floor, which is black. So before decaling the other side of the caboose, I touched up the frame with a black marker just to make it consistent so it wouldn't look like there were gaps between breaks in the white striping. Okay, so this was just weird. I don't know if anyone has had this happen to them before, but the decals were done, and I thought just before putting the window inserts back in, let's give this thing a coat of flat to hide the sheen from the decals. And this is what happened. It just bubbled up. Naturally, this put me in a mood because I knew I'd have to start over again to some degree. But I thought I'd experiment a bit and see exactly what was going on. I took a sharp blade to it just to see if it's something I could shave off. It did come off, but of course it did, mar the finish. And so ultimately, I had to soak the bay window in a small dish of alcohol and took it right back to the bare plastic. At the same time, since I didn't want to struggle again with micro mask, I finally managed to get the side window panes out so that I can paint it and reinsert them. But it did mean that I'd have to come up with a different solution for the aluminum window frames. So here we see the repainted and redecaled bay window on the left compared to the other one on the right that I didn't have to redo. For the aluminum frames, I experimented first with an aluminum colored Sharpie, which wasn't too bad, except it couldn't get into the corners because the Sharpie isn't sharp enough. I then followed up with a little bit of Tester's silver on it with a very tiny brush. You can see I didn't do such a good job of it, but when it's assembled, you don't really notice it, and it looks more like the aluminum um, is weathered a bit. Now here you see it coupled up to one of our standard cupola cabooses in the engine terminal, ready for service. Of course, there's an epilogue to this very sad story about Q&NE cabooses. You've all heard the expressions, when it rains, it pours, and it just so happened at the same time that I found the Blueford Shops red and yellow caboose, I also found some very good deals on another Blueford Shops caboose, as well as an Atlas standard uh, cupola caboose. There's always room for more, and indeed I have enough decals to do more cabooses. I still have open slots for units 990 and 991. One of my regular crew members suggested that perhaps I should just patch the Montana Rail Link logo off and just put some yellow Q&E numbers. But when I did a bit of research, it turns out that Montana Rail Link never had these cabooses. They were all wide vision cabooses. So that means this caboose, if I do repaint it, it's going to get the full treatment, soak it, strip it down to bare plastic, and do the same thing as I did it with caboose number 993, which is the subject of another video some months ago. And what of this little guy? I actually do prefer this style of caboose more than the bay window one that I just finished painting and decaling. It fits more in my mind to a regional short line kind of railroad than the fancy bay windows that were used on Union Pacific and Missouri Pacific, which is kind of what the other ones are based on. The real challenge with this one, though, that even though it's got a good head start with some nice Q&E red on it, I have to give it a real think through about how I would paint this, because you just can't disassemble it. And so all these railing and stanchions would have to be individually wrapped and masked if I want to have a black floor, for example. So I really need to give this some thought whether I'll actually go ahead with it. But again, subject of another video sometime in the future. Thanks for watching. As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoy layout improvement videos, here are a few others that you may find interesting. If you're not already a subscriber, you can click on the logo on the top right-hand corner of your screen.